over 17 feet long, weighing in at nearly 1,000 pounds, with a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth, and could very well likely have been poisonous to boot, found in Antarctica. Now, I'd like my audience to think for just 1 second, what size of a food chain would it take to support a creature like this? Well, science has confirmed that Koolasuchus did live for a very long time. In today's video, I'm going to put together some more puzzle pieces from this UFO incident in Varginha. I think we have been very close to something a lot of people have, including myself, but have missed the mark just slightly. This creature, like all other amphibians, is cold-blooded. Now you would think, how could a cold-blooded creature live in Antarctica? Well, it did. There's a great many heat sources beneath the ice, and in the past, it wasn't always frozen over. Who knows what is buried underneath the ice down there? Maps like this make me think, what one civilization could have controlled such a place? Well, maybe it wasn't just one. It's larger than the entirety of Europe. What if it was multiple different types of civilizations and beings living together, I guess, as peacefully as Europe is living together right now, if you watch the news? Maybe they had their own problems just like we do. But I'm sure some are asking, okay, great, what does that have to do with an amphibian? This story that happened in Brazil, where these 3 girls came upon this strange creature huddling by a wall. There was a craft that had crashed way out in the countryside, and they described the creatures as feeble, slimy, liver and kidney-like, but fearful. In fact, one of the girls was quoted as saying, "It was more when my eyes made direct contact with its eyes, and I could just sense that it was suffering." Now, there's a piece of information we didn't cover in the video that we did a few days ago. It has to do with this slimy covering I had made, the allegation that it was some type of a reaction to the environment. It could have also been a defensive reaction. And I'd like you guys to listen to what else was said regarding this.
You put it all together, a UFO crashed, and there were occupants that survived. And those occupants walked through the town and got captured.
Where are they now?
Well, apparently, I went to one of the hospitals where they were taken, and then and there was also another one, Officer Sharizi, he was a military police officer, Carlos Marco Chirizi, I think his name was, and he apparently handled one of these creatures. Now, he didn't know ET. His orders were something got loose or something's
like
out
an
there,
animal,
something
whatever,
really strange. If you see it, capture it, bring it back to, and he did capture it with his bare hands, and he got an infection and died.
Really?
So we're in touch with his sister, we're in touch with other family members and friends of his family, we're in touch with the primary witnesses that saw the creature.
What did these creatures look like?
Now, that's where we picked it up last time. This police officer who touched this creature, got an infection and died. I want you guys to remember that. Touching the creature, whatever it was, resulted in a reaction that caused death. Now, do we have creatures on the planet right now that have that ability? We sure do. But we're going to tie this together with another part of the story. In 1963, a Turkish man took out a wall in his basement while renovating his house in Cappadocia in Turkey and was surprised to find a whole room behind it. Further digging revealed a labyrinthic network of rooms several hundred feet below the earth. It turned out to be the ancient underground city of Derinkuyu. Now, this is something that, when it was being created, would not have been a secret. Nobody could have hidden this. It could have been lost to time, of course, like it was. But during its construction, this underground city was so large, it could have housed 20,000 people. They had places to do everything you could do on the surface. This wasn't just some bomb shelter that they were going to occupy for 2 months or 3 months. It was a place they could live indefinitely. Now, some have made the allegation that they created this to flee from raiders or different military groups, like perhaps the Greeks. Well, the Greeks could have just chased them down right into these tunnels. This wouldn't have stopped the Greeks. And like I said, at the time, it wouldn't have been a secret. What would you have done with all the tailings? All of the material you excavated would have showed up somewhere, and this was such a huge undertaking. Some of these tunnels go on for miles. In fact, there's one that's 8 kilometers that leads to an entire other underground city. So what would this have been good for? What were they fleeing? You see, just like in Antarctica, there could be underground tunnels down there as well. But instead of there just being a nice sunny surface like in Turkey, now there's ice. But it would protect you from something. Those underground cities and underground tunnels would be completely impenetrable to giants. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are like, okay, what's going on? You were talking about amphibians and aliens, and now you're talking about giants and underground cities in Turkey. They're connected. We pulled this image out of a very old map from a long time ago. Giants that were fleeing from Antarctica across the land bridge into Argentina and Brazil. And we show them here, they have this giant shield, and they've got something in their hand, and they're being pursued by this winged serpent. Literally not even trying to be touched at all. This might be why there are giants in North America, that they had originated in South America and were chased out by something that they couldn't even touch. It was so poisonous. And it was represented like this, a lizard-like, snake-like creature, described as a serpent. But what if it was more like an amphibian? Ectothermic, meaning cold-blooded. There are some incredibly poisonous amphibians in the world. In fact, this one right here in the top center has enough to kill 200 men. They're called poison dart frogs. Now, wouldn't that line up with exactly what was described in Varginha? You had this creature, now much larger than a poison dart frog, but slimy skin, just like the frog has, and deadly, just like the frog has. And to put the final piece to this, I don't think that story that they told for the first few seasons of Game of Thrones was complete fiction or completely made up. I do truly believe that they lifted some of that out of reality from a lost history. Because they told the story of giants coming out of Antarctica, or in their case, what they called the North. The two pictures you're looking at side by side, the one on the right is allegedly a fictitious map created for the series Game of Thrones so that people could kind of get a lay of the land, so to speak. Well, when you invert Google Earth Pro and show where South America meets the Antarctic Peninsula, the entire area where the show takes place has been washed away. Let me see if I can show you the similarities. What they call the North is actually the South up here. They have a thing called the Narrow Sea. That's here. They have a thing called the Summer Sea, the Argentine Sea. And literally, even the way the topography is the same. It's really frightening, but this is the connection. This is the connection. We talked about how these aliens are coming and taking cattle. Well, cows are not the same as elephants, which are not the same as mammoths, which we've also found in Antarctica. Cows are ungulates. meaning that they can eat very different things. They can eat things that and get nutrition from them that other animals can't. Now, they're very large creatures, of course, cows are, 1,000 pounds. But what if you could study them, figure out what they're doing, modify it for your own digestive system, and then move forward? Or what if you could have a herd of these that you could teach to be ungulates, or you could modify genetically to be ungulates? You could feed them very different things. And that might be going on as well, because we have found in Antarctica, oh, by the way, what looks like a woolly mammoth on the surface. The whole point of this video being, I truly believe these creatures, whatever they are scientifically interested in achieving some end. And that they originated here on this planet, not in outer space. This is a picture from Siberia, by the way, where back in the 1900s they recovered an entire woolly mammoth. So the idea that they wouldn't still be alive is, I think, ridiculous. But these creatures, there's something predictable about their behavior. And there's something very familiar to this planet about their appearance and their activity. The red eyes. We have all sorts of creatures, reindeer, cow, all sorts of people that have people and animals that have the ability to reflect light off of the back of their eyeballs. Their eyeballs just happen to be larger. Slimy skin. Well, we have amphibians that have slimy skin. Skin that's poisonous. We have that too. These creatures are from here. They're not from outer space. And when these peoples finally encountered giants and they had to flee underground, just like perhaps in Antarctica, they were doing so to flee from giants. The giants who were in turn fleeing from these smaller creatures that were incredibly poisonous. I think it all lines up with what we're seeing now in Europe. We've been in a state of constant war now for 22 years? Who's to say the same thing didn't happen down there? The only thing these tunnels would protect you from, truly, because it doesn't even look like these tunnels would have protected you from radiation because they were so open to the surface. At the time, for sure, they would have been, before they were lost to history. But they would definitely protect you from giants. So that was kind of the point of today's video. But we would love to have you over at Patreon if you'd like to help support my work. Sure do appreciate everyone who's been there. $1 per month, that's the only level that allows you to get everything. There are some old deprecated buttons on the site over there at Patreon that say 50 and 20 and 10. They don't work, and there's no secret stuff behind them. So those of you who are over there seeing that, I just wanted to cover that one more time. We talk about how in a grid down situation, psychological operations, the relationships that you have and your ability to foster them will be far more important than your preps. And I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.